we are going to learn how to deploy application on Tomcat using Jenkins. So that means here we are going to learn how to deploy Tomcat using Jenkins. So here to deploy Tomcat using Jenkins, we need to install Tomcat as well as Jenkins, right? So here let's start. So first of all, we need to install Tomcat, right? So as you can see, this is my article. So if you don't know how to install Tomcat, then you can follow this article, right? So let's learn what is Tomcat first. So here you can see what is Apache Tomcat. So Apache Tomcat is also known as Tomcat Server or simply Tomcat is an open source web server and servlet container developed by the Apache Software Foundation, and it is designed to execute Java servlet and render Java server pages, right? And to provide a Java based application environment. After that, Tomcat is one of the most widely used web servers and highly popular among Java developers. And it acts as a server by processing HTTP requests, serving static web context, and supporting various Java-based technologies, including Java Servlet, Java Server Pages, Java Expression Language, and WebSocket. So that's the short information about Apache Tomcat, right? So after that, features of Apache Tomcat. So what's the features you can see? So the first feature is servlet container. After that, JSP support, then web server capabilities, then connectors, then security, and then clustering and load balancing, and in last management and monitoring. So if you want to check the details, then you can go to this article and you can learn from here. Now, to install Apache Tomcat, first of all, we need to install Java, right? So we need a Java 8 or 11, right? We need to, you can see the Java version supported is 8 or above. So here I'm going to install Java 11, right? OpenJDK 11. So that's, first of all, we need to update our system package. So let's update our system package first. So here my operating system is Ubuntu 22.0 for LTS, right? So I'm going to update my system package first. Okay, so it's done. Now let's clear the screen first. Now after that, let's install OpenJDK, right? 11, Java 11. So using this command, so I'm going to install Java 11. So yes, I want to install. So as you can see, it's installing OpenJDK 11. So it takes few seconds to install Java. So as you can see, it's installing Java OpenJDK 11, right? To install Tomcat, we need a Java 8 or higher version. So here we are going to install OpenJDK 11. So yep, it's almost done. Yeah, let's clear the screen first. And now if you want to check the details of about Java, so you can run the command Java-version. You can see the version 11.0.20, right? So let's clear the screen. Now it's done. Now the next step is here download Apache Tomcat on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, right? So here the version is 9.0.35, right? So now the latest version is 10 point something, right? So if you want to install the latest version, then you can go to the official page of Tomcat, right? This is the official website of Tomcat. So here this is the official website. So if I scroll down, you can see tar.gz file. So let's copy the link address, and here I'm going to install Apache Tomcat using W8. Let's paste this link. As you can see, the latest version is 10.1.13. Okay, it's done. If I run the ls command, as you can see, our tar.gz file. Now we need to extract this file. So how to extract? So here is the command. Right. So first of all, here we need to create the directory under this OPT directory. So under this OPT directory, we are going to create new directory with the name Tomcat. Right. So yes, it's done. Now the next step is extract the downloaded tomcat tar.gz file right into this created directory. So let's copy the command to extract our files into this tomcat directory. Yeah, it's done. Now let's clear the screen first. Okay. Now next is we need to create dedicated user. So our user is tomcat, right? So that's why here I'm going to run the command sudo group add user, our tomcat, right? Okay. Now same for this, give some permissions for Tomcat user. Okay, it's done. Now, next is here give Tomcat user permission. So now let's assign the permission of the folder to the user we have created above it. Which folder? Tomcat, right? So we need to give some permission to our folder. Then next is here. Okay, it's done, right? Now the next is we need to create a systemd service file. So by default, we won't have a systemd unit file for Tomcat to run in the background and to easily stop, start and enable its service. So here we are going to create this file. So the file location is here. So I'm going to copy the command paste here. So let's create Tomcat service file. So file name is Tomcat service to this location. And here is the file. Okay. Now let's save Control X, Y for S, then enter. Now, next is to start, enable, and stop. You can see the command. So let's enable and run the same start Tomcat service and enable Tomcat service at system startup. So let's reload first. Okay. Now let's start our Tomcat. Okay. Now let's enable. Okay. Now let's check the status of our Tomcat. It's running or not. Let's check. Okay. As you can see, it's active running. You can see. Right. That means you have successfully installed Tomcat on Ubuntu 20.22.0 for LTS. Right. Okay. So now here to check our Tomcat in browser. So first of all, let's copy the instance IP. Here is my instance IP and hit on browser. And Tomcat port number is 8080. Right. So as you can see, we have successfully installed Tomcat. Now the next step is here add roles and admin username and password to the Tomcat, right? So first of all, we need to edit this configuration file to add our password. So I'm going to edit my configuration file here. And here we need to add username and password here, right? So here I'm going to add username and password. So here is my username and password of Tomcat, right? So let's copy and paste here. Okay. So as you can see, our username is admin and password is password, right? Okay. So for all this role, right, you can see admin GUI, manager script manager JMX manager status admin GUI, right? So for all this, our username is admin and password is password. Now let's save the file and exit. Okay. Now The next step is enable Tomcat and host manager remote access. Right here, we have to enable it by editing individually and the context file available for Tomcat manager and host manager. So first of all, here context.html XML. So here we need to comment this line. Which line is here? That value line. So let's comment this value line first, from here to here. Okay. Now let's save the file and exit. Okay. Now after that, the next file is here. We need to same for this file. Same for this file. Here we need to comment this value section. Okay. Now let's save the file and exit. Okay. Now it's done. Now let's restart our Tomcat. So how to restart? So the command is sudo systemctl restart Tomcat. It's done. Now let's check the status. Okay, it's active running. Now let's go to the Tomcat on browser. Here, let's refresh the page. Okay. Now if I go to my server status, it will ask username and password. So let's enter our username. Our username is admin and our password is password. Sign in. You can see we have successfully accessed this server status, right? That means it's done. So we have successfully installed Tomcat, then we have successfully set username and password for this Tomcat, right? So it's done. Now here we need to install Jenkins, right? After that we need to install Jenkins. But here, if you remember, for Jenkins, the port number is 8080, right? And for Apache Tomcat, also the port number is 8080. So we need to change port, that's 8080 port for Apache, right? You can change, if you want to change the port number 8080 for Jenkins, then you can change for Jenkins. If you want to change for Apache, then you can also change for the Apache. So I'm going to change the port number 8080 for Apache Tomcat, right? So how to change? So let's go to the terminal, and here first of all I'm going to switch to my root user, and let's clear the screen. And now here, first of all, go to the Tomcat folder. So where is our Tomcat folder? In our OPT. Then if I run the ls command, you can see Tomcat. So let's inside the Tomcat, then run the ls command. So go to the config file, right? Config folder, then run the ls command. So here I'm going to edit the file server.xml using my favorite editor, sudo nano. So let's enter server.xml, and here let's scroll down, and you can see connector port 8080. So here I'm going to change the port number 9090 for Tomcat. Okay, 9090. Control X, Y for save, enter. Now let's restart our Tomcat. So how to restart? Sudo systemctl restart Tomcat. Now let's check the status. Okay, it's running, right? Okay. Okay, it's running. Now let's go to the Tomcat server. And now here the port number is 8080, right? So let's refresh the page and let's check. You can see the site can't be reached, right? Because we have changed our port number, right? So now our port number is 9090 for Tomcat. Now you can see our Tomcat server, right? So we have successfully installed Tomcat, then we have successfully set the username and password for Tomcat, and we have successfully changed the port number for Tomcat. Now for Jenkins, our port number is 8080, right? Because we have successfully changed the port number for Tomcat, right? So our Tomcat port number is 9090. Okay. Now it's done. We have successfully installed Tomcat. Now it's time to install Jenkins, right? So how to install Jenkins? So as you can see, this is the official page of Jenkins. You can see Jenkins. So here my operating system is Linux, so that's why I'm going to choose Linux. And in Linux, my operating system is Ubuntu. Okay. So for Jenkins here, we need to install Java, right? For Jenkins, we need to install Java. But which version you can see? Update a Debian apt repositories and install OpenJDK 17. For installing Jenkins on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, we need to install OpenJDK 17, right? So that's why first of all, let's install OpenJDK 17. So first of all, I'm going to update my system package. Okay, it's done. Now let's install OpenJDK 17 on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. So yes, I want to install. Okay, it's almost done. Now let's clear the screen and let's check the Java version 7.0.8.1. Right, that means you have successfully installed OpenJDK 17. Okay, it's done. Now it's time to install Jenkins, right? So our operating system is Ubuntu. So here is the commands. So first of all, we need to install this command using curl. So let's install. Okay, it's done. Now the next is here. Okay, now let's update our system package. Okay, now it's time to install Jenkins using sudo apt-get install Jenkins. So yes, I want to install. So as you can see, it's installing Jenkins on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, right? So wait for a few seconds. It's almost done. Yeah, it's done. Now let's clear the screen first. Okay. So now we have successfully installed Jenkins. To check, let's run the command first of all here to enable our Jenkins first. So the command is sudo systemctl enable Jenkins. Right? Okay. Now the next is to start our Jenkins. Now let's check the status of our Jenkins. So you can see it's active running, right? That means we have successfully installed Jenkins on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, right? Okay. Now let's access our Jenkins in browser. So how to access? So first of all, copy our instance IP, hit on browser. And as I told you, our Jenkins port number is 8080. See, getting started, unlock Jenkins. So first of all, we need to unlock our Jenkins. So first of all, we need to enter the administrator password. So where is the password? So the password is this location. So let's copy the location and go to the terminal. And here I'm going to enter sudo nano and this location of our password. So here is our password. So let's copy our password and enter here. Click on continue. Yeah. So after that, customize Jenkins. So plugin extend Jenkins with additional features to support many different needs. So I'm going to install suggested plugins, right? So as you can see, it's getting started. As you can see, it's installing some plugins, right? So it takes few seconds. So wait for few seconds to getting started. So as you can see, it's almost done. Yeah, it's done. Right. So after that, the next step is create first admin user. So we need to enter our user. So my username is admin. So let's enter the password, then confirm password, then full name, enter your full name. So I'm going to enter my name admin and then email address. Okay. Now click save and continue. Okay, password didn't match. Okay. Now the next is that's our instance URL. You can see instance configuration, Jenkins URL, right? So yeah, that's our Jenkins URL. That's our instance IP and the 8080 port number. Now click on save and finish. Start using Jenkins. Okay, so as you can see, this is our Jenkins dashboard. You can see welcome to Jenkins, and this page is where your Jenkins job will be displayed and to get started. And you can set up distributed build or set or sorry or start building a software project, right? So that's our Jenkins dashboard. That means you are successfully installed Jenkins also, right? Now the next step is here. We need to install Git and Maven. So now after that here we need to install Git and Maven, right? So make sure you have installed Git or Maven. So let's install Git or Maven on our terminal. So go to the terminal. So here if I run the mvn version command, so as you can see we don't have Maven, right? So we need to install Maven using this command. So the command is sudo apt install Maven. So let's install Maven. Okay, so it's done. You can see. Now if I run the ambient version, so you can see, okay, you can see the version, right? Okay. Now it's done. So let's clear the screen first. And after that, install Git. So the command is sudo apt install Git. So it's done. Okay. So we have successfully installed Maven as well as Git, right? Okay. Now the next step is go to the Jenkins, and here first of all go to the manage Jenkins, right? And here go to the tools. Okay, so here first of all you can see git installation, right? So here you can see the name default and the path to the git executable git, right? Okay, after that here I'm going to add Maven here. So enter name, so I'm going to enter name Maven. Okay, and you can see the version. If you want to choose another version, then you can click on this drop down. So that's the latest version 3.9.4. Okay, now click on apply. Okay, so yeah, it's done. Now go to the dashboard. Okay, Now the next step is we need to install deploy to container plugin, right? So how to install? So go to the manage Jenkins, then go to the plugins, and here we need to install deploy to container, right? So click on available plugins, and here search for this plugin. Which plugin? Deploy to container. So here you can see deploy to container plugin. So click on install. So as you can see, it's installing, success, and you can see it's pending. SSH server, okay, it's done, right? So we have successfully installed deploy to container plugins, right? So go to the dashboard, right? Okay. Now the next step is here. We need to create and configure Maven job with source code management, right? So how to create? So first of all, here we need to create GitHub repository. So as you can see, this is my GitHub repository with the name Tomcat project, right? And in this GitHub repository, you can see the files. So first of all, folder source, src main and web app, then target, then git.gitignore, that readme.md file is by default, then pom.xml file, right? Why? Why we need this repository? Because here we are going to learn how to deploy Tomcat using Jenkins. So we need to deploy Tomcat using Jenkins, right? So for that we need an image, right? So here we are going to use this repository. So we are going to use this files. So here you can see this is my target folder. In my target folder, as you can see the files. So that's my files, right? My target folder. And after that, if I go to my project and go to the web app, and you can see index.html file, right? So that's my project, Tomcat project, right? So we need to these files. So here, first of all, you need to create your project, GitHub project, and you need to create these files. Okay. Now here we have successfully create our GitHub project. Now the next step is here, go to the new items. So here let's create our configure, right? So let's create. So first of all, go to the new item and enter your project name. So my project name will be Tomcat, and select freestyle project and click on OK. Okay. Now here after that, that's the step. General, source code management, build triggers, build environment, build step, and post build action. So first of all, here I'm going to check it for GitHub project. So here we need to enter our project URL. So this is my GitHub project, right? So I'm going to copy the HTTPS here, and let's enter the URL here. Okay. Now after that, scroll down. Next is here we need to choose this source code management Git, right? And here we need to enter our repository URL. So I'm going to enter my repository URL, right? That's my GitHub repository URL, right? Okay. Now the next step is credentials. So here we need to add credentials. Which credentials? Our GitHub credentials. So here if I click on the scroll down, there is no any credential as of now, right? So we need to add this. So click on add Jenkins, and here choose this username and password and username. So here I'm going to enter username for my GitHub, right? DevOps it, and the password for my GitHub. Remember this. That's my username and password of my GitHub account, right? Because here we are going to enter our GitHub repository URL. So that's why here we need to enter username and password of our GitHub account. Now click on add, right? And here if I click the credentials, add this credentials, right? So that's our GitHub repository URL, and that's our GitHub credentials. Okay. Now the next step is here I'm going to enter this master replace with main. Okay. Now the next step is, let's scroll down, and go to the post build action, and here I'm going to choose this deploy var to container. Here we are going to deploy this var file, right? Okay, now here if I go to this here, first of all here enter 2 slash star then dot var file. That means in this, that 2 means any file, and after the slash star means any file, then any file name, then dot var extension, right? Because here we are going to deploy our dot var file, right? So that's why dot var extension. That means 2 means any folder name, then slash, and then file name, that means stars, and dot var extension. Then context path, so I'm going to enter my path Tomcat project. Okay, now the next step is here add container. So here I'm going to add Tomcat 9.x remote. Okay, after that here add credentials. So here first of all we need to add credentials. Which credential? Tomcat credentials. So click on add Jenkins, and here add username. Which username? Our Tomcat username. So when we install our Tomcat, we have set the username and password, right? So which username and password? So admin, right? So our username is admin and our password is password for Tomcat, right? Here, that's right. Username is admin and password is password, right? So enter username and password and click on add. Now select this username and password admin, right? For Tomcat, of our Tomcat username and password is admin and password, right? So that's why I'm going to choose this admin for Tomcat user. So after that here we need to enter Tomcat URL, right? So go to the Tomcat, and that's our URL, our instance IP, and the port number is 8080, right? So let's copy the URL and paste here. Okay, so it's done. Now click on apply. Okay, now let's go to the dashboard, and you can see our project name Tomcat, and last success and last failure and last duration, because now it's time to build, right? So click on build, and let's check our job. So as you can see it's running. You can see here is in progress, right? So as you can see it's succeed. You can see succeed. So let's check the console output. So you can see in console output our job is success. You can see success, right? So let's check. So first of all you can see it's cloning our repository. You can see our repository, right? Our GitHub repository. So it's successfully cloned. Then you can see the URL, right? Okay, and you can see attempting to deploy one war file, right? So where is our war file? You can see deploying war file in this location. You can see Tomcat Maven app 2.0 word file, right? And in using this Tomcat 9x remote. Okay, so we have successfully done. So let's check our war file deploy or not. So how to check? So go to the Tomcat here, then here enter slash and then our name. So our app name is Apache Tomcat app. Tomcat Maven app, right? So let's enter Tomcat Maven app. So you can see hello world, right? So that means we have successfully deployed this file, right? So in this session, we have learned how to deploy Tomcat using Jenkins. right? So thank you for watching.